Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my review for the premiere of a brand new anticipated series on HBO. This one is for Westworlds. Alright, so I literally have had hundreds of people ask me to review Westworld, so for you guys, thanks for your patience. Here is the review for you. I did check it out on opening night, on premiere night, which was Sunday, October 2nd, and this one looks good. I mean, if you watch the trailer, you can watch the trailer on YouTube if you guys don't know what we're talking about or you didn't get a chance to see it. It's a very anticipated series. Of course, HBO has had some of the best television series of all time. We're talking The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wire, shows that even to this day, even if they're over, people still talk about them as the best series that there are for television, pretty much. I mean, in terms of their budget and everything, HBO has a pretty amazing thing going where they can create some really amazing stuff that, unlike a movie, doesn't just end after maybe maximum 2.5 hours, 2 hours, right? I mean, this premiere by itself is over an hour long, and that's just to get rolling, to get started. So. The description for Westworlds is a series inspired by the 1973 film of the same title, written by Michael Crichton, about a futuristic theme park populated by artificial beings. Now, with this one, I've never seen the original 1973 film. I imagine a lot of you guys haven't either. But the idea is very, very intriguing. This is created by Jonathan Nolan, Lisa Joy Nolan. So right there, going to stop right there. Jonathan Nolan, one of the writers, of course, a writer for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight being my all-time favorite movie, being a Batman fan and what he was able to do with that, and Christopher Nolan. What they did with that, I mean, if you watch Batman v Superman, you get to appreciate, you really, really get to appreciate how amazing The Dark Knight really was in comparison. And since it was done first, years before Batman v Superman, and how Batman v Superman turned out, and how it looks like the future DC movies are going to turn out. Obviously, extremely talented man, involved with all kinds of other things as well. We've got stars. We've got Anthony Hopkins. I mean, crazy, right? Evan Rachel Wood, Ed Harris. It's crazy to get these kind of people for a TV series, right? I mean, this is what HBO is able to do. They can land some, like they've got The Rock for Ballers, if you guys have seen that. I mean, these are high A-list profile people, right? They're not cheap, and HBO, with some of these series, is willing to, put it out there. We've also got James Marsden, who, if you're a fan of X-Men, you'll know him. Pretty awesome. So we've got Jeffrey Wright, and a list of all kinds of other well-known people. First thoughts on the premiere. Obviously, this one is visually spectacular. This is visually stunning. You have kind of what seem to be maybe future 3D printers that are printing out artificial beings, and you have basically players. It's kind of like if you've ever played any of these main video games like World of Warcraft or some of these other video games. You get pretty immersed in the world. You go in on your computer, let's say, or on your PlayStation or whatever. You get into that world, and you kind of get to spend some time and live in that world where you can interact and do all these different things, go on quests or whatever, like an RPG, an MMORPG, for example. In this one, like being that it is sort of a theme park, it gave me a lot of vibes of it's an artificial sort of digitally created reality, where you'll see them and they have like these tables that are kind of digitally changing. They're kind of watching, and they have these storylines that go through with the artificial beings. And you have people that can pay, rich people, that can pay a lot of money to kind of go on vacation, sort of. But instead of just going on vacation and maybe going to Hawaii and sitting on the beach or something, they can kind of go back in time, so to speak, without any repercussions to their actions. So they can go in this theme park and raise hell if they want to. They can get some guns and start shooting up the place, and you have these artificial beings that kind of act out these storylines with the people, the players, or the people that are the clients that are going and paying a lot of money to be able to go in these theme parks and experience this kind of crazy sort of vacation where they could go, and if they ever wanted to know what it's like to shoot a gun in the West or something back in time, they can do that. They could get wasted. They could interact with all these different artificial beings, kill some of them if they want to, all these different things. So it's kind of crazy. It's definitely an interesting idea for sure. And prior to the series, I never really heard of anything like it. It kind of brings in some of the thoughts of something like maybe The Matrix, this kind of thing. And maybe Humans was a show that I've seen where I felt like there was some similarities between kind of the room that they show all the different defective. They have like a grouping of defective or used up artificial beings. So after they're kind of used up, maybe if they're starting to break down, they're starting to get to be some fragmentation, meaning like they'll play different roles. So you'll have certain artificial beings that play different roles in their kind of work as part of this theme park, as part of Westworlds. So you'll have one that maybe in a previous one he was a villain, and then he ends up being a father in this one, and maybe has some fragmentation so that his past memories are sort of interacting and kind of discombobulating with the present ones, and he's no longer able to do his job, so to speak, as an artificial character in that world. So they have to kind of take him out to pasture, so to speak, and toss him in with the other ones. So it's pretty interesting. So you get two different realities. You get the reality which is inside the Westworlds, where you have these storylines that kind of repeat. You'll have James Marsden, who's Teddy Flood, who kind of arrives in and sees Dolores, who's this girl that they seemingly have some kind of relationship or something with, and then she's got her father, and you've got all these different things happening with the players that come in. You've got Ed Harris, the man in black, so to speak, who goes around and he's like, for example, there's a part where he gets shot a couple times and it doesn't do anything to him, and so it's got some, and so he's kind of like superpowers in that Westworld, so to speak, and he'll go and he'll kill and kind of play out the story as he wishes. So there's definitely some interesting ideas in this one for sure, and it's very intriguing, I think, to have those two different characters in the real world. Like you have Anthony Hopkins, who's Dr. Robert Ford, who seems to be kind of maybe... He seems to kind of be the head honcho, so to speak, the smartest of them all, but he also seems to kind of be maybe a little bit... I don't want to say crazy, but he kind of seems to have a little bit more depth to him than just a really smart doctor, somebody who is questioning some of these philosophical concepts of what is life, what is reality, and if you can create kind of a 3D printed person, what do they have wants, or how does this work, or kind of the AI type of idea, which is profound to ponder on sometimes. So he brings in that kind of element, which I have seen that before, so to speak, in different shows and this kind of thing, and thought about it myself. But if you've never done it before, it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. If you could create kind of an artificial human that was able to think and act just like us, is it really human? These kind of ideas come into play with this kind of a series. We've got Jeffrey Wright, who plays maybe one of our more likable characters in terms of the real world characters. He plays Hector he plays Bernard Lowe, and he seems to be a pretty nice guy. He's one of kind of the practical doctors, so he's the one who's writing the code. Who's they update some of the artificial beings, and they have all these different issues with them, so they have to roll back the update and stuff like this. So it's pretty interesting. In terms of inside the world itself, visually it's beautiful. It really does look like maybe I haven't really seen many westerns lately, but kind of like an updated western that has really good quality and makes you really feel like you're in that world. You'll have some pretty cool shooting gallery scenes where they'll kind of decide in the real world to kind of send in to reverse roll back this update, where they'll have some kind of programmed hooligans go through, and they'll rob out the place, or they'll blast down all the different people there who the artificial people there who need to be rolled back for the update, and so they don't have to cancel the story for the people that are the clients that are actually in that world and are on some kind of crazy vacation. So it's definitely a thought-provoking series. It's intriguing. Visually, it's stunning. It kind of grabs you with regards to the concepts. It grabs you with some of these ideas that it just touches on a little bit. It's got the beauty, it's got all of that, and it's got the quality, and it's got a great cast. So I definitely think that this one could be a great series, and we could see maybe more than just one season of it. We could see it ongoing. But I just don't know. The only problem I have with it is that I find that some of the most likable characters in the series, maybe this isn't a problem, it depends on your stance, I suppose. Some of the most likable characters in the series are artificial. And for that, I think maybe you could look at that as a weakness, or you could look at that as a strength. You have James Marsden's character and Evan Rachel Wood, Dolores and Teddy, probably the two most likable characters in the show, I want to say, and they're not real. So this is this is interesting, right? Definitely different, interesting, and unique. That say, I will say that the first episode for me did go on a little long, and it was at parts a little bit dry. Like when they play the storyline over and over again, it's like, okay, I get the idea. They play it over and over, and it's like, okay, they're going through some kind of story. I get it, and it kind of gets a little bit repetitive as it should, because they're going through the same kind of story loop again, where Dolores wakes up, she goes and sees her dad. But it is kind of interesting when they replace the father artificial being, they put in another one that was in a different role prior, and it's like Dolores goes on and has no understanding or idea of that her father has been totally replaced with this other artificial being. So it's definitely an interesting series, and I did like the premiere. Thought-provoking, that's for sure, and I think it does have potential, of course, when you look at the people that are involved with it, to be a really great series. I'm just not sure where they're going to go with it, and maybe that's a strength, maybe that's a weakness. That's really hard to say. It's just so, it's kind of like people like things that have a little bit of variety but aren't too far away from the norm. This one, it is a little bit further away than maybe I'm comfortable with in terms of a story, in terms of the characters, who to relate to, and how to feel about that, because a lot of the real-world doctors and a lot of the real-world people involved kind of seem like bad guys a little bit, and I'm kind of on the side of the artificials, which is kind of interesting. So really like the show. I'm going to give the premiere a 9 out of 10. I would give it higher, but like I said, a few parts here and there for me drag just a little bit in the premiere. We'll see how it goes with the future episodes and who we end up liking. I'm intrigued to find out more about Ed Harris's character, the Man in Black, and what all the details are behind him, what he's programmed there to do. Is he a system kind of, if you think of like the Matrix or something, is he kind of like a system character they put in to kind of clean up, like a cleanup crew, clean up the mess or something? Or what is he? Or is he a player that just likes to go in and rape chicks and kill people? I don't know. So you guys can write your comments below if you have more insight to it than me. I'm sure there are some of you guys that do if you've watched the previous the movie in the 1970s, or if you know more about this kind of story. I don't know too much about it, but I am intrigued to find out more as we go through the series. It's a good show. It's really good. So if you guys like Westworlds, please don't forget to thumb up the review below. Leave a comment in the comment section below. And that'll be it for my review of Westworlds, guys. I like the premiere. Very thought-provoking, very interesting, and I think it has a lot of potential, to be a great series. So we'll see what HBO does with it. And, hopefully it ends up to be a really good series. That'll be it for this video, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.